After two failed attempts to visit Egypt and Jordan back in 2011, Arab Spring, and 2020, COVID, we finally got our chance to visit in February 2023. It was a fantastic experience, something that we'll treasure and remember forever. We spent 15 days visiting both Egypt and Jordan. This is the first part of our trip. We travelled there with Travel Marvel and met some wonderful people in our tour group that we will hopefully keep in touch with for a long time to come. So please enjoy this video. It's a summary of our experience in this wonderful part of the world. In Cairo, we stayed at the Marriott Hotel and Casino. It was an old visitors' palace constructed in 1869 with great views of the Nile, of the garden and the city. Cairo, the city of 1,000 minarets, is the capital of Egypt with a total population in excess of 22 million people, one of the largest cities in both Africa and the Middle East. It is also the 19th largest city in the world and among the world's most densely populated cities. The Nile River flows north into the Mediterranean Sea. It is the longest river in Africa and the primary water resource for Egypt. After so many years and a couple of tries, we were finally here. What a spectacle, it was awesome. It's just an incredible moment for both of us and something that we'll never forget. The pyramids of Giza were built to endure eternity, and they've just done that. The monumental tombs are relics of Egypt's Old Kingdom era and were constructed some 4,500 years ago. Egypt's pharaohs expected to become gods in the afterlife. To prepare for the next world, they erected temples to the gods and massive pyramid tombs for themselves, filled with all the things each ruler would need to guide and sustain himself in the next world. Pharaoh Khufu began the first Giza Pyramid project 2,500 BC. His Great Pyramid is the largest in Giza and towers some 147 metres above the plateau. It's estimated to have 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 to 15 tonnes. Some interesting facts on the pyramids. They're located just outside Giza, in Egypt and only a few kilometres away from Cairo. They are the only remaining wonder of the ancient world. It estimated that it took 100,000 men 20 years to build the Great Pyramid and some 60 years to build the whole complex.
Huh?
Partly fulfilled a childhood dream, no? Huh?
It hasn't disappointed, huh?
Hasn't disappointed at all.
An Egyptian mythological creature, the Sphinx is said to be 4,500 years old. The Sphinx was a female monster with the body of a lion, the head and breast of a woman, eagle's wings, and according to some, a serpent's tail. She was sent by the gods to plague the town of Thebes as punishment for some ancient crime, preying on its youths and devouring all who hailed to solve her riddle. Busy day on day 2, particularly the morning. We went out and visited both Memphis and Saqqara. Memphis was the first capital of ancient Egypt with over 100 pyramids built in that city. This was probably the most important city in Egypt and the world at the time. We also visited Saqqara, where the oldest surviving pyramids remains. This particular site was used as a burial ground for more than 3,000 years. We spent half a day visiting both sites before returning to Cairo. Unlike Giza, Saqqara has the distinction of not having Egypt's largest pyramids, but it's the first, the Step Pyramid of Djoser. In fact, Saqqara has more royal pyramids than does Giza, and it was here that a number of other firsts occurred in pyramid building. Located south of Cairo, Saqqara was the vast necropolis of the ancient Egyptian capital Memphis, and is home to the nation's oldest pyramid, the Step Pyramid of Djoser. Aside from being home to Egypt's oldest pyramid, Saqqara is the largest archaeological site in the country. On our return from Memphis and Saqqara, we went to the Egyptian Museum, which is the oldest archaeological museum in the Middle East and houses the largest collection of pharaonic antiquities in the world. The museum displays an extensive collection spanning from the pre-dynastic period to the Greco-Roman era. The architect of the building was selected through an international competition in 1895, which was the first of its kind and was won by the French architect Marcel Dunon. The museum was inaugurated in 1902 and has become a historic landmark in downtown Cairo and home to some of the world's most magnificent ancient masterpieces. On the day of our visit, to say that it was busy was an understatement. Post-COVID, I think everyone decided that they needed to travel, and in particular visit the Egyptian Museum. There is a new museum being built at the moment in Giza, facing the pyramids. It has been touted that it should open within the next 1 to 2 years, but if you speak to the locals, they very rarely believe that that will be the case, and they don't anticipate that museum being open for some time. After a hectic couple of hours in the museum, we decided to end the day with a short visit to the bazaar. It was an incredible moment, particularly when the bus was trying to actually leave the car park. As you can see, people everywhere. The next day, we would take an early flight to Luxor. Karnak Temple is the largest religious building ever constructed. Dates back from around 2055 BC to around 100 AD. The Temple of Karnak was known as Ipet Isu, or most select of places, by the ancient Egyptians. It is a city of temples built over 2,000 years and dedicated to the Theban tribe of Amun, Mut and Khonsu. This derelict place is still capable of overshadowing many wonders of the modern world, and in its day it must have been awe-inspiring. Certainly from what we saw, it was an amazing, incredible place. For the largely uneducated ancient Egyptian population, this could only have been the place of the gods. It is the largest religious building ever made, covering about 200 acres, and was a place of pilgrimage for nearly 2,000 years. The area of the sacred enclosure of Amun alone is 61 acres and could hold 10 average European cathedrals. The great temple at the heart of Karnak is so big that St. Peter's, Milan and Notre Dame cathedrals would fit within its walls. The Egyptians believed that towards the end of annual agricultural cycle, the gods and the earth became exhausted and required a fresh input of energy from the chaotic energy of the cosmos. To accomplish this magical regeneration, the Opet festival was held every year at Karnak and Luxor. It lasted for 27 days and was also a celebration of the link between Pharaoh and the god Amun. The procession began at Karnak and ended at Luxor Temple, over 1.5 miles to the south. We visited Luxor Temple that day as well, and it'll come up on our video in a few minutes. Ramesses III built a bark shrine south of the second pylon, which was later enclosed by the courtyard constructed by Shoshenq. The shrine's entrance was fronted by a small pylon adorned with scenes of the king smiting his enemies, and two 6-meter statues carved from red sandstone flank the doorway. Inside, the first court is lined with Oshride statues of the king. The west side wear the red crown of the south, while those on the east side wear the white crown of the north. Beyond the court is a vestibule, also fronted by Oshride pillars, leading into a small hypostyle hall, which in turn leads into 3 chapels for the bark of Karnak. This is the Karnak Temple hypostyle hall. The massive columns dwarf the people, and there is still some paint surviving on the other side of the capitals. The hall covers an area of 5,000 square meters and filled with 134 gigantic stone columns, with 12 larger columns standing 80 feet or 24 meters. The hall was built by Seti I to inscribe the northern wing. The outer walls depict Seti's battles. The southern wing was completed by Ramesses II, but he usurped the decorations of his father along with the main procession walkways. The south wall is inscribed with a record of Ramesses II's peace treaty with the Hittites, which he signed in the 21st year of his reign. Later pharaohs, including Ramesses III, the 4th and the 6th, added inscriptions to the walls and the columns. As you'll see from a photo later, it takes about 12 Aussie and British men to cover the circumference of these massive columns. What do you think, hun? Have you enjoyed Karnak?
Bloody amazing.
Okay, well, you can say a few more things. You're on TV. Oh my God. Why am I being called an idiot? The Temple of Luxor is laid out parallel to the riverbank. The temple was built by Amenhotep III, but completed by Tutankhamun and Horemheb, and then added to by Ramesses II. Towards the rear is a granite shrine dedicated to Alexander the Great. The temple has been in almost continuous use as a place of worship right up to the present day. During the Christian era, the temple's hypostyle hall was converted into a Christian church, and the remains of another Coptic church can be seen to the west. Then for thousands of years the temple was buried beneath the streets and houses of Luxor. Eventually the mosque of Sufi Sheikh Yusuf Abu was built over it. This mosque was carefully preserved when the temple was uncovered and forms an integral part of the site today. The call to prayer was loud and very clear when we visited on that particular day. Before the building works by Ramesses II, the northeastern end of the court was originally the entrance to the temple. It was an enclosed colonnade of 7 pairs of 52 feet of 16 metre high open floor papyrus columns. Got enough
They had
sphinxes,
the
huh?
boats. I know, right? Are we allowed to go over to them? I think we are.
Not sure.
Don't need to. I think that's supposed to be a model of the golden boats. They all had a boat made of solid gold. What's your step here, honey?
This is absolutely amazing. Cairo, Egypt was more mum, but I'm glad she convinced me to come because this is absolutely amazing. Hey, Laura?
Yeah, I'm glad you came. You decided to accompany me.
Yeah.
Oui, here we go.